Is the curse of the pharaohs real? For centuries, this question has echoed through the halls of history, whispered in museums, and shouted in thrilling Hollywood movies. It's a legend woven from tales of mysterious deaths, unexplained accidents, and the chilling idea that those who dare disturb the eternal slumber of ancient rulers will face a terrifying supernatural revenge. Today, we repealing back the bandages to explore the real-life stories linked to the legend of the Pharaoh Curse. We'll separate fact from fiction and see what truth lies buried beneath the sands of time. Let's travel back to ancient Egypt. The pharaohs were considered gods on earth. Their tombs weren't just graves, they were elaborate palaces for the afterlife, filled with everything they would need: gold, furniture, food, and even their beloved pets. To protect these treasures and their sacred rest, priests were said to have placed powerful curses upon the tombs. Inscriptions found in some Old Kingdom tombs contain explicit warnings. One from the tomb of the vizier, Tutankhamun, reads, "As for all men who shall enter this my tomb, ... impure ... there will be a judgment. An end shall be made for him. I shall seize his neck like a bird. I shall cast the fear of myself into him." It's pretty direct, isn't it? These weren't subtle suggestions. They were clear threats, designed to deter grave robbers. The ancient Egyptians believed deeply in the power of magic and the spoken word. For them, these curses were as real as the stone walls they were carved into. But the legend of the mummy's curse did not truly capture the world's imagination until the 19th and early 20th centuries, an era known as the Golden Age of Egyptology. Western explorers, funded by wealthy patrons, flocked to the Valley of the Kings, driven by a thirst for knowledge, fame, and treasure. The media back home sensationalized their discoveries, painting a picture of daring adventurers braving booby-trapped tombs and ancient hexes. This created the perfect storm for the curse narrative to take hold. One of the earliest tales to fuel this fire was from the 1820s. An English author named Jane C. Loudon wrote a book called The Mummy, a tale of the 22nd century, which imagined a reanimated mummy wreaking havoc. This, along with other Gothic horror stories, planted the seed in the public's mind. Disturbing a mummy could have monstrous consequences. Then came the discovery that would cement the Pharaoh's curse in popular culture forever. The tomb of Tutankhamun. In November 1922, British archaeologist Howard Carter, after years of painstaking searching funded by his patron, Lord Carnarvon, made the discovery of a lifetime. He found the nearly intact tomb of the boy king, Tutankhamun. The world was electrified. Newspapers ran breathless headlines, and people were captivated by the glittering treasures emerging from the dust of millennia. But the excitement soon turned to fear. The so-called Curse of King Tut began just a few months after the tomb was opened. In April 1923, Lord Carnarvon, the man who paid for the expedition, died in Cairo. The cause was an infected mosquito bite on his cheek, which he had accidentally slashed while shaving. The infection led to blood poisoning and pneumonia. The story could have ended there, but the press ran wild with it. It was reported that at the exact moment of his death, all the lights in Cairo mysteriously went out. Even more spookily, back in England, Carnarvon's beloved dog, Susie, supposedly let out a howl and died at the same time. The legend was born. Was this a coincidence, or the Pharaoh's revenge? The media frenzy didn't stop with Lord Carnarvon. Over the next decade, a string of deaths connected, however loosely, to the Tutankhamun expedition were attributed to the curse. George J. Gould, a wealthy American visitor to the tomb, died of a fever shortly after his visit. Prince Ali Kamel, Fahmy Bey of Egypt, was shot and killed by his wife in London in 1923, just months after he had visited the tomb. Sir Archibald Douglas Reed, a radiologist who x-rayed the mummy, died from a mysterious illness in 1924. A.C. Mace, a member of Carter's excavation team, died of arsenic poisoning in 1928. Even Carter's personal secretary, Richard Bethel, died in 1929 under mysterious circumstances. Delis Gray, and with each death, the legend of the curse became more powerful and more believable. By the 1930s, newspapers had linked over a dozen deaths to the opening of Tutankhamun's tomb. So, is there any truth to it, or was it all just a media-fueled fantasy? Let's look at the facts with a more scientific eye. First, let's consider Lord Carnarvon. He was already in poor health before he even arrived in Egypt, weakened by a severe car accident years earlier, a mosquito bite leading to a fatal infection in the 1920s. Before the widespread use of antibiotics isn't all that surprising. What about the Cairo blackout? Power outages were actually quite common in Cairo at the time, and the story of his dog dying simultaneously. That's a classic example of a good story getting better with each telling. There's little hard evidence to support it. What about the other deaths? A 2002 study, published in the British Medical Journal, looked into this very question. Researchers compared the survival rates of the 44 Westerners identified as being present in Egypt when the tomb was opened with a control group of Westerners who were in the country at the same time, but not involved with the discovery. They found no statistically significant difference in their lifespans. The 25 people who were most directly involved in entering the tomb lived to an average age of 70. Howard Carter, the man who first breached the burial chamber, lived for another 17 years, dying at the age of 64 from lymphoma. Most of the victims of the curse actually died from completely understandable causes: old age, pre-existing conditions, or accidents that had nothing to do with ancient Egypt. The narrative of the curse was simply more exciting than the mundane truth. However, there is a scientific theory that could explain some of the illnesses. Tombs sealed for over 3,000 years could be breeding grounds for dangerous, dormant pathogens. When a tomb is opened, ancient bacteria and toxic mold spores, like certain species of Aspergillus, could be released into the air. Inhaling these could potentially cause severe allergic reactions or lung infections, especially in people with weakened immune systems. This could explain why some individuals who entered freshly opened tombs fell ill. It's not a supernatural curse, but rather a biological hazard. It's a curse of microbiology, not magic. Let's not forget the psychological power of the curse. If you truly believe you've been cursed, that belief can have a powerful effect on your mind and body. The stress and fear could weaken your immune system, making you more susceptible to illness. It could also make you more prone to accidents or noticing connections where none exist. If you visit a tomb and then trip and sprain your ankle a week later, you might dismiss it as clumsiness. But if you believe in the curse, you might see it as the pharaoh's wrath. This is a classic example of confirmation bias. We tend to look for evidence that supports what we already believe. The Mummy's Curse is a captivating legend, a perfect blend of history, mystery, and horror. But when we dig deeper, we find that the story is built more on sensationalism, coincidence, and human psychology than on any supernatural force. The real curse might just be our own fascination with the unknown and our desire to believe that there are forces in the world beyond our comprehension. The ancient Egyptians wanted their rest to be eternal, and in a way, through these enduring legends, they have achieved a different kind of immortality. Their stories continue to haunt and fascinate us, thousands of years after their civilization turned to dust. What do you think? Is the curse a real supernatural phenomenon, a biological hazard, or just a powerful story that has stood the test of time? Let us know your theories in the comments below. We love hearing what you think. And if there's another dark mystery or ancient legend you want us to explore, just comment with your suggestion, and we might feature it in our next video. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey into the past. If you enjoyed uncovering the truth, please hit that like button, share this video with a fellow history lover, and subscribe for more deep dives into the mysteries of our world. We'll see you next time.